Alright, good evening. Going to do another stream tonight. I've got something a little bit different planned. This time we're not drawing a magic card. We're going to try to do some figuring out of a style. So I figured this would be an interesting idea, and we'll see how it goes. I picked a fairly straightforward reference. I have it cited up in the top right there, and we're going to, this is the kind of thing that I draw often. I'm trying to draw people because it's just what I like to draw, but I'm going to see if I can do this in some different styles using the same reference. And I think we're going to learn a lot from it. I think it should be interesting, so let's give it a try. So the first thing I'm going to do here, and I'm going to be using this page until I run out of space, and then we'll switch to another page. It's, kind of figuring it out as we go, but I'm going to try to do this in essentially the same style that the picture is, which is it's a photo reference, so I'm going to be aiming for photorealism here. So we will give that a try. A couple things on the reference here. I found it on DeviantArt in the stock art category, so it's available for use. Like I said, I have the reference up there so that we are giving credit where it is due. And I think we're just going to start somewhere around here on the page. And we'll see kind of how... sorry about that. We'll see how it turns out here. If you follow me on Tumblr, you'll know I was given a very generous gift by my lovely friend Lauren. She donated her old tablet to me as she is not using it and thought that I might get some use out of it. I've played around with it a little bit. I haven't done a whole lot yet. I'm still kind of figuring out the different pieces of it, but I am excited to do that, and you'll probably be seeing some digital streams coming up sometime in the near future. I'm hoping to maybe get one in this week. So, as usual, I've got the reference up on my monitor over here. You guys can see it on the right there. And I seem to be having a little bit of trouble with it. I'm not entirely sure why, but we'll work through it. Alright, let's try to do what we learned from all those drawing books and drawing classes, if you took any, where you separate the face into different shapes and we're trying to get something from there. Maybe if I can do that, we can actually start getting somewhere on this drawing. And I suppose it's entirely possible I'm just having a bad night. It's just going to be difficult, but we're going to try to work through it. I think that this is going to work out as a base, so we'll start there. Alright, and additionally, I didn't make it entirely easy on myself. We do have a hand here in the picture that I'm going to try to draw. We'll see how many times I end up redrawing that. I chose this reference, and there's actually more going on in the reference than you see here. I have it zoomed in on the face because it's simple enough that I should be able to draw it several times. It's not like, trying to draw a full image and spending several days working on it. I'm hoping that we can kind of get something out here in a reasonable amount of time. I don't want to spend too long kind of drawing this each time. I'd like to get a couple drawings out of it tonight. I'm trying to make sure I don't go too dark on any of these lines because, like I said, especially with this one where it is photorealism is what we're going for, I don't want to end up making too harsh of any lines so that I can't get rid of them later. And you see I'm already going past where I had initially marked things off. So I drew the hand, and we're gonna kind of be changing this as we go, I think. We're trying to get the general shape worked out right now. It looks a little strange here, but I think we'll get there. I'm definitely struggling tonight. So I apologize for that, because it's likely going to make this have a lot more erasing and redrawing than usual. Hopefully it turns out alright. This style should be the one that will take the longest of what I kind of have planned. As it's the most detailed of what I want to do. And most complex. But I think it's important to start here. This is definitely giving me a lot more trouble than usual. And perhaps this is an indication that I didn't choose my reference well, that this is not something that I'm prepared to draw. Perhaps it's an indication that I just need to try to do less complicated things and work my way up from there. It seems strange to me that I was able to draw the art from the magic cards with what I feel is a little more ease. We'll keep working at this. Let's try and do a little work on this hand here. Returns are always really difficult. It's something that a lot of people struggle with, myself included, unfortunately. Way more than I would like to. The only sensor there is you should practice drawing them more, and that's part of this. It's definitely giving me trouble tonight. It's a little better. It's not great, but it's definitely better. Stick with that for now. Alright. So this is oh, sorry about that, that's in the chat there. Do I start with the grid? I don't really. In this I started with a little bit of a guideline, but I probably should do more. And on this, I don't know, there's still a lot that I'm not happy with, but it ended up turning out a lot better than I thought it was going to as I was going through it. I had a lot of issues going through here that I managed to kind of clean up in the end, and it doesn't look too bad. So as I was looking at like the different parts of this, I was very much concerned. It really did not look the way that I wanted it to. But this is starting to come together decently. I'm not as happy with it as I am with my drawings with magic art, but overall it's really not too bad. Definitely a lot to improve on, but a lot that works out not too badly. So I think we'll call that successful as an attempt at a sort of a semi-realistic, she probably can't quite see there, but it's a sort of semi-realistic style. So what I want to do now is take this same reference and look at it and consider how it might work in a different style. So if I were going for a more kind of anime style, I'm going to start in pretty much the same way. I'm going to see what I can do about getting the size to be about the same. We'll see if we can make that work. Right. Stop playing with that. In this case, I'm going to see what I can do about getting it in about the same size. I make no promises. Alright. I do have measuring device here, but I'm not going to be able to reproduce it perfectly. Well, that might not be too bad. So the difference that I'm going to be doing in style here is going to be, as opposed to focusing on trying to make sure I have soft lines and that everything blends very nicely, this is going to be a lot more about pulling out the specific shapes that stand out. So I'm still going to be doing a lot of little sketching here as I kind of figure out where everything's going to be for the second time now. Because we definitely want to start with a good base and work from there. I drew these at too much of an angle. We're going to try to reduce that a little bit. That's a little better. Hello, Mr. Papa Penguin. A link to what? Sure, you can go ahead and post a link to a picture you'd like me to draw. I am definitely open to suggestions. Sorry, it doesn't quite look like what I'm into drawing, unfortunately. So the nice thing about this style is I can be a lot more specific with the lines, not have to worry about cleaning them up later, because we're going to want those lines to stay very visible. This also shows up a lot better on the camera, which is nice. Nice little bonus there. What I'm doing here is I'm kind of sketching it out where I want it to be, and once I think I've got it right, I'm going back over and just trying to create a nice clear line. We're simplifying the shapes down a lot. We would be adding detail later on. You'd often find with this type of style that the proportions would be exaggerated a little bit more. I'm trying to stay relatively close to where we were. I'm taking a little bit of liberties here and kind of adjusting things, but for the most part we want it to be about the same. And obviously, me saying that it's a more anime style is highly simplifying it. There's a lot of different styles that you can find there, but I'm trying to take some of the points that are very common and kind of focus on those. Major differences being the focus on harder lines, where everything is kind of outlined. And such. It's honestly a lot more comfortable for me to draw in this style. I have a lot more practice at it. It being legitimately simpler as well is certainly helpful. Yep. My positioning was off there, so we need to fix that. Let's try again. Let's do this again too. That's not fun. Alright, I think that's a better place to start. So that's a much different style than our previous one there. But it's very much still, I'd hope at least, somewhat identifiable as the same person. So what did we do differently? Here I didn't do any shading. It's all just, these are the different shapes of this person's face. Rather than shade in the different parts of the hair, it's just, this is the outline. It's all very simple. The eyes are where you get the most detail, and those, they're exaggerated a good bit. Like I said, this is something I'm much more comfortable in drawing. Over there. It's a lot simpler. It's something I have a lot more experience in working with, and so it's definitely something that comes a lot easier to me. So I think we'll go to the next page. Took up most of that page there. The third one I'm going to do, which is, looking at our time here, probably going to be the final one that we're doing. It's going to be somewhat in between the two because it's going to be the elements that I currently incorporate into my style. So if I'm just sketching things out with no reference, how do I tend to draw these things? You're going to find it's a lot closer to the anime style than the realism, but that there's definitely some differences. So again, we're going to start by trying to get the shapes correct, get the proportions set up correctly. This is all just going to be quick sketches to try to get everything in the right spot and try to make sure we still know what we're doing. And it looks like that hand is still giving me trouble, which is not all that surprising, unfortunately. But we'll figure it out. Let's come back to that. Starting point. So let's see. So what do I tend to do differently than both of these? Well, overall, I'm still outlining a lot of things like you would in a more animation style or anime style. I still find it easier to outline these shapes rather than rely entirely on shading to indicate where everything is. I try to go about it with a softer hand, though. I don't want as much of a hard black outline on every shape. I'll do similar exaggerations for the eyes. More or less so depending on the picture that I'm doing, move them in basically. I try to add a little bit of shading as we go along. Let's go back to these hands. The hair, I don't like to have that hard outline as much. What I like to do for hair is I like to basically draw just a whole bunch of lines. I often get pretty loose and messy with it here. This hairstyle is a little different than what I'm used to, so it's interesting. So what ends up happening is I end up creating the hair by making all of these different lines and by kind of trying to draw them not specifically like, okay, well this hair goes over here, and I'll go about it and I'll be like, well, these connect in this area, so the hair would kind of do one of these numbers. And I'll kind of give it more of a free-flowing sort of creation here. I'll draw out whichever parts I think are the most significant and kind of fill in the rest to suit it. See, I'll usually go over it twice. I'll draw the initial shapes and then I'll go back the other way, kind of fill in, finish that up. Now, one thing I like about this is that it allows me to kind of get a few stray hairs onto the side, which can be hard to do if you're drawing the hard outline. You're going to end up losing a lot of those, and I feel like this gives it a little bit more of a natural kind of look. I'm going to go back and just do a little bit of shading in the areas that I know that should be darker, and I'm just going to shade them in as blocks, honestly, because we are going to go through and blend this. Because by doing this I end up with a lot of gaps, and I end up with a lot of hard lines that I don't actually want in the end. So I end up going back over, kind of blending everything in, getting rid of most of the very hard lines that are there, replacing it with this kind of soft texture that I feel still preserves a decent bit of the flow of it. And I try to follow along with the lines that I've made as I'm blending in order to get that to work out. I usually go and try to clean up the edges a little bit as well. Clean up a little here. I don't do a whole lot of shading, I will pull a little bit in. I usually try to make the eyebrows similar to the hair, which can be a little difficult, but I like the way it looks. Go back through, clean this up some. Thank you, Panda Pickles, I appreciate that. One thing I'll do, especially if, in this case, it's a lighter hair tone, go back in with the eraser, just kind of lightly brush across and try to keep things even, because I'm just trying to lighten overall here. It can be a little difficult to get that right, but go back through. You end up creating some clear lines with the eraser, and you want to kind of try to blend those out. I usually end up doing just a little bit of shading. Nothing quite so much as I do if I'm trying to strive for the more realistic look. But I do like a little there. And if I'm just doing sketches and trying to draw things out, usually end up with something that looks kind of like that. We'll flip back here. So the two that I did first, tried to do somewhat of a realistic style where we're focusing a lot on the different shading. Went to the other end of the spectrum and did kind of an animation style where it's very much hard outlines. And then my natural style falls somewhere in the middle. It's definitely still got those hard outlines, a lot of the exaggerated features, because that's how I learned to draw. But I do like the ability to shade and kind of imply things without hard lines. Yeah, I should probably, you're right, Kuroi Koto, I should come up with some better way to blend than just getting graphite all over my fingers. It's honestly part just a refusal to search for and find the correct tools. See, these are always right here, so I can always use them. But you are definitely right in that there are better tools out there that I should be using, or should at least be trying. I'll take a look into plasticine and see how that works out for me. Right now, since I'm just getting back into drawing, I'm definitely on the lookout for different tools, different techniques that are useful, but I'm not super concerned about it because I feel that I'm kind of at the skill level at this point where the most important thing is to just make sure that I'm drawing a lot and make sure that I'm trying out new things in drawing, and that nice tools, while they could potentially make things easier, are not enough to make me a good artist. Which is why I'm just using a simple mechanical pencil, because while I actually have nicer pencils, I have then a variety of hardness and different media as well. I've got charcoal pencils and that kind of stuff, and I'm interested in getting into all of those. Right now I'm trying to focus on getting a high volume. I'll certainly check it out. I am very much interested in tools that will improve my abilities. let's see. I'm going to extend that out just a little bit, I think. Just a quick question. Do I own a graphic tablet? I might. I'm not sure. What do you mean by graphic tablet? I might just not understand the terminology. Please hold. Sorry about that. I heard very loud knocking. I have yet to find the source of it. Uh, so, I am back. Yes, I actually was just over the holiday here, gifted by my very good friend Lauren, her old bamboo tablet. I've just started to play with it. If you actually look at my Tumblr, I have two quick little digital sketches that I did there, and I'm very much excited to use it. I want to keep working with traditional media because, again, the drawing aspect of it is what I really want to focus on right now. But I'm very excited to get to do the digital stuff as well. It's definitely a big difference. I'm used to the feel of pencil on paper, so the pressure sensitivity is still something I'm getting used to and playing with. But it's definitely very exciting. It helps me deal with some of the issues that I have in working with pencil, which, if you look at my previous stuff, I usually have a difficulty getting really nice dark tones, because I just won't get a good black tone when I'm working. I just won't press hard enough. And I also have a lot of trouble getting an area with a nice white tone because I keep smudging the ink the graphite everywhere as I'm going. So I'm really excited to use it. I just don't want to get too carried away in wanting fancier and fancier tools. And Veloair, to respond to a while ago, you said, could I draw these cats? I can certainly try. I don't know that I'll be able to, but I will hold on to this. There's that knocking. It is in my headphones. That is strange. Alright, I seem to have closed whatever window is making it. So, at least now we know nobody is knocking on anything. It's something that one of my windows was doing. How long I suppose, can I send my portfolio? I don't have a formalized portfolio. I've got some stuff up on Tumblr. I've also posted those pictures on Facebook, and I also have a DeviantArt page that I'm working on populating. The links are all at the top of the screen there. My name is Flame and Air pretty much everywhere that you can look. Flame and Air was taken on Twitter, so it's Flame and Air Art. How long have I been drawing? That's an interesting question. So I started drawing way back in probably 6th grade as kind of just a thing to do. I wasn't taking it very seriously at that time. It was just something that I was doing. And I drew randomly throughout high school. It was something that I enjoyed doing, but not necessarily something that I ever aspired to do extremely well at. So I took art classes in high school. When I was in college, I stopped doing that for the most part. And so from about 2008 through, I don't know, some number of years after that, I didn't do a whole lot of drawing. I would occasionally do random drawings if I had the time, but again, it was never something that I was really overly interested in becoming very good at. There's a long period of time in which I didn't do any drawing at all. If you look at my Tumblr, I went back through this sketchbook and through some random drawings that I had. I've got a big gap from like 2007 to 2010 where I didn't really find much there. I have a couple things in 2010. This sketchbook actually starts, I'm going to take a quick glance, in 2013. And I have two drawings from 2013, literally nothing for the entire year of 2014, 2 drawings in May of this year, and then, due to a change of scenery, I now have more of a chance to draw, and so I've been drawing at least once a week, most often more than that. I say at least once a week because we just had the holidays and I didn't really do a whole lot of drawing at that time. But I'm aiming to do 2 streams a week. I don't want to promise any sort of schedule because things can be a little weird with my work schedule. But as far as when I started to really try to get serious about this, about a month ago. But I was definitely working from a base of having drawn before, and I also did photography in college, where that doesn't necessarily help me with the actual skill in drawing, but I can notice things a lot easier about different lighting and kind of your light and dark tones that you'll hear me talk about if you end up following the stream. and I'm glad you like it. I encourage you to look at the stuff I have up on my Tumblr. I've done a couple of full-scale things where I've been trying to recreate some art from Magic the Gathering cards that I like. I've definitely learned a lot from the two big pictures that are up there, and I'm looking forward to doing more, but I wanted to do this type of stream tonight where I'm kind of focusing on different styles and trying to focus on different things that I can improve. What do I want to achieve? I'm not entirely sure yet. This started off because I had this creative energy and I wanted to do something with it, and I was encouraged to start drawing. So right now what I want to do is I want to get better at drawing, just as kind of a study in itself and kind of a pursuit of a way to improve my abilities and kind of do something with this creative energy. I'd like to be able to take a reference and turn it into something else, or to draw without a reference and still have it be recognizable. Because, and we'll move over to the side here. We'll do another page. I'll do a sketch here while I'm talking to show kind of what I do without a reference. So, as for what I want to achieve, I'd like to be able to take an idea that I have without a reference and draw it well enough that it is recognizable. I understand that it's going to be quite a bit a ways before I would be able to, reproduce it as I see it in my mind. That might not be something that ever occurs. But I'd like it to be something where I could draw something and somebody else would go, oh, I can tell what that is. This is what you were doing. So that's kind of my end goal of sorts. What I would do with that, I'm not sure. I've always liked the idea of being able to produce some sort of sequential art, something that could tell a story, mainly, though figuring out what story I would want to tell is not necessarily an easy thing. But I figure that with my current skill level, I have a lot of time. Well, thank you. I am very much a firm believer that with enough practice, I will be able to do anything that I want. How much practice that might take is variable, certainly, and something I'm not too certain on. But at least right now, I enjoy this practice, so could be a lot worse. So I've been drawing with the intent to improve my skill level for only a short amount of time. I've always been trying to improve in whatever way I can, but you are watching it develop as I do. Yeah, that's all better. And mainly what I need to do right now. You say you might be able to help me in a way. What would that be? Yeah, that's definitely something that I know that I should do, and that I frequently do not. Where like, and something I'm definitely going to need to be focusing on more as I try to expand my skill in different poses. But where you get the kind of different figures here, where you're kind of expanding upon the shapes, and eventually you're getting up to the different shapes that you should have. That is definitely something that I should do more, and that I do not currently, especially if I'm just drawing from memory like I am up here, just kind of free flowing. It is definitely something that I should do more. And it's something I'm going to be trying to keep a clear idea in my mind of, that like I really need to be doing that as I'm trying to take on new challenges, and this kind of in this kind of exploratory way. So like what I'm drawing here is specifically like back when I was in high school and stuff, I would frequently draw pretty much this same thing. This 3/4 view, generally not too much in the way of body. I might go down to the shoulders, but mainly focusing on expression, on the hair, kind of that kind of thing, and just kind of sketching, because I was sketching to fill time. I was sketching to distract myself from whatever I wasn't really interested in paying attention to in school. So it didn't much matter if I was pretty much drawing the same thing every time. And I have a tendency to try to do things beyond my skill level, which I've definitely done on this stream more than once already. In fact, you'd probably say that every stream is that. This is the only thing, what I'm doing right now, that is not beyond my level. But this is usually what I would end up kind of drawing, something along these lines. And this is how I've expanded my skills over the years, is, back when I started, I didn't have this kind of detail in the hair, I didn't have, the same steadiness of hand. My proportions were much more off than they are now, which I know that they still are. But we're on it. Yeah, this is very much, this is my go-to. I'm going to just doodle something. This is what I would end up drawing. And the stream and what I'm doing now is very much an attempt to get away from that and get beyond that. So I'm very hopeful, and I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one that did this. I'd love to see some of your work. Do you stream on Twitch? Obviously you're here on Twitch. Do you do any streams? Do you have your work posted somewhere? Okay, and you said this one's from 2013, I see there. And then 2 years later, this is where we are. You've really come a long way. This is very cool. Do you stream your drawings, or are you just working off the camera, as it were? You used to stream. Past tense. Any plans to do so in the future? Alright. Might be streaming again. That's good to hear. I would be very interested to see your stream. Here's Cintiq. I have heard of it. I've heard good things about it generally. I feel that the tablet selection is often kind of like photography, where people will have their preferences. So I've heard a lot of good things about the Cintiq, and I've also, heard people saying that they would vastly prefer different tablets over it. That's the thing I'm noticing with the tablet when I work with it, is it is a little bit of a disconnect for me to have that different feel. And I'm still playing with the sensitivity settings to get it to work a little bit better for me, but definitely having that paper feel is something I'm very much used to right now. Here, this other guy. Yeah, the ability to edit that digital art offers is definitely what draws me towards it. It's been so long since I've drawn anyone with a body. I'm definitely excited to get into that realm. Let's go up here. Let's say so. There we go. So that's kind of my default drawing, and also kind of my default style. Sometimes I'll focus more on certain parts of it, but this is more or less how I draw. But it is 9 o'clock here. I do work in the morning, so I'm going to have to cut our stream off here. Koroi Koto, thank you for joining me. I appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you tune in the future. I'm definitely going to be looking out for your art, and I hope I see you streaming sometime if you're up to it. What? Delete on this. So, very nice to meet you as well. Have a good night.